So according to the World Health Organization, by 2025, chronic diseases will impact over 164 million people. CEO of the Jamaica Employers Federation, Brenda Cuthbert, is here to help us talk about managing chronic illness in the workplace here in Jamaica. Good morning to you. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
When we talk about chronic illnesses, no, what are we talking about?
Well, in terms of chronic illnesses, they're usually non-contagious. They are. I'm not a doctor, so they're non-contagious. Is one that can be quite debilitating. It affects your ability to work sometimes based on the type of illness that you have. Being unable to work all the time has two impacts. It affects the organization in that their productivity is down, time out of office is down. It also affects the employee in terms of not being able to earn. What are the options that they have while they're out from work, and what are the decisions that can be made jointly between the employer and the employee? Because I think with chronic illnesses and so many other things, it's a relationship that has to be forged and maintained between the employer.
There would be no governmental overarching policy that speaks to this?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
There are government policies. The Occupational Health and Safety is one such. The Disabilities Act is another one that is being promulgated at this time. And
in the main, what do they say? What provisions are made for?
Okay, in the main, it speaks about no discrimination, having reasonable accommodation for the employee by the employer. And so again, it goes back to the whole business of communication and understanding between both parties. There is also the other chronic illness. Yesterday we had the Lupus Foundation with their symposium, and we had a panel discussion, and I think that's why I'm here, on that. And we talked about the other things that under the law, we do have mandated 10 days sick leave. Is that enough?
No. Is that standard? Because I know there's some companies who don't offer.
No, it is under the law standard, supposed to be. There are companies that do more than that, because remember now that is the base that they're promoting.
Okay.
In addition to that, there are other areas that can be looked at as you've utilized all of your 10 days sick leave. What else can we do? Again, I speak to the whole business of the communication, the disclosure, the relationship, and how we can treat with that.
Yeah.
If it gets to a point that there is a decision that has to be made, a hard decision, then we would need to now look at, again, be guided by the laws and the regulation as to how we can deal with this separation as easily as possible.
It's a tough one, eh?
It is very, very tough, because not only does it impact on the person with the illness, you do have the extended family and so on that are, I don't know, if this is a main caregiver or a main provider, it compounds it. If it is that there are medical expenses that have to be addressed, it further compounds it, and so.
Yeah, wow. So I'm curious as to whether mental health is under this chronic illness banner?
You know, mental health is coming on the up and up now. In fact, yesterday at the symposium, that was also brought into play, because it is one of these that is coming into the fore, and I think at a certain time it is going to be one that we have to look at. But what we're looking at too is the whole business of chronic illness, and how does it start? In mental illness, does it start in the workplace? Did you come into the job with it, or did you have it before? Again, it comes to disclosure. Not many people will want to say that I need a job, but I have a mental illness, because that sometimes is a red flag, and the employers might say, let me think again.
Wow.
It is difficult.
It is, rather. So for the folks who are watching this morning who fall into this bracket, who do have chronic illnesses, what are their rights in the workplace? What is it that you want them to take away this morning?
Okay, if you have a chronic illness and you are in the workplace, we believe that the information could be passed quickly to the relevant authorities. If you're just in an early stage with your chronic illness and you are at work and then you're absent for many days, the organization might begin to think that you're just spinning your wheels and not being fair to the organization. But if you disclose very early and in a confidential way, because a lot of persons with chronic illness and other situations are a little bit loath to disclose because they believe they might be discriminated against, and they might believe that there might some amount of stigma attached to it. And all of this has to be managed.
It might prevent them from getting the job from the gate.
It might prevent them from getting the job on the gate.
What would be their recourse in a situation like that?
Well, in a situation like that, if you have gone for a job and you have not got it, and you believe that is based on discrimination, you would then have to take action if you wish, but it is the burden of proof, and there has to be on that. Right.
Gotcha. Okay. So as for employers, what would you want them to know this morning?
For employers, I would want to ask, again, that everything be documented as properly and as detailed as possible. We do operate with policies and procedures, and these policies need to be reviewed from time to time. They need to be shared with your employees so that they themselves understand it and know what they can do and what are their own rights and what are the employer's rights as well.
Okay.
And so the documentation, having those policies in place, very critical. Of course, there are organizations with employers that are quite sympathetic or empathetic with the situations, because the chronic illness might not have come overnight. It might also have visited a member of staff that is a wonderful worker.
Right.
And you would not want to necessarily lose them at that point because of days out from work. So there's type of arrangements that, reasonable accommodation, as they say,
right,
that can be made. Also, too, there's a matter of flexi-time work.
Yes.
There's a matter of
telecommuting.
telecommuting. The world of work is changing,
Yes,
and it is for employers and employees to get on board and see what the alternatives are, and
great
strong communication.
advice. Thank you, Ms. Brenda. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having
Chief
me.
Executive Officer of the Jamaica Employers Federation, Brenda Cuthbert. More ballroom dancing on the other side of this break.